In a time of political turmoil, it's easy to overlook the people who work to exercise and support our core American values. Democracy at Work is an election season series from VCIJ at WHRO. People share their stories about how they uphold the core ideals of American democracy: free and fair elections, the defense of the country, ensuring clean air and water, the right to participate in government deliberations, and exercise First Amendment rights. This weekly series brings these compelling stories to light.
But yeah, this is the different ballot styles. So you see, it doesn't say anything there, federal only, presidential only, and you just have president there. On the federal only, you've got president, Senate, House, and then on the full ballot, you've got president, Senate, House, and the constitutional amendment. My name is Walt Latham. I'm the York County voter registrar.
The registrar ends up doing, overseeing voter registration, working on that kind of stuff, and then also getting ready for the next election or wrapping up from the last one.
I'd actually been an officer of election when I was 17 years old, and so I've been working in the field, I guess you could say, since I guess that was June of 1995. And I've worked as an officer of election, I've been an assistant registrar, and now I've been registrar. And so I've seen the people who work in the field, and a lot of them, the vast majority of them are not in it for the money. I mean, sure, the $100 or $200 helps around Christmas time, but all these people signed up for this, and they're there for a long day, and they can make mistakes, and people depend on them to do things the right way. And so the fact that we have 100 plus people willing to do it just in York County, let alone across the country, when I think about it, it's pretty impressive that they sign up to do this over and over again.
The stereotype of registrars was it was the little old lady who was, someone's wife, and maybe she needed a job, but she just kept the books or something like that, and people would go to her house to register. Back before the civil rights era, you can imagine, just based on my understanding of things, if you were a black citizen going to register to vote at a little old white lady's house, the racial politics of that. So it's just so much different than how it used to be. To me, I don't think we had a democratic system until the 1960s, but I think you could say that's a blot on America, which it is, but it's also just looking over the span of history and seeing the improvements. It makes me very proud to be an American, and the system's not perfect, and I don't know that any system is perfect, but it hopefully becomes more perfect as it goes along. And it's hard to say what is a perfect version of democracy. So it's really kind of a hard thing to define what democracy is, other than it may be like that Supreme Court justice said about pornography, you know it when you see it. You have people who are wondering about it and wondering if they can trust the system, and I think that they come into it, a lot of people come into it with the assumption that elections are very straightforward and simple, and they aren't. They are, but they aren't. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into just solving just a simple thing. And even when it's something it could be fixed simply, sometimes there are rules about how you have to fix it. And so you can't just say, well, we'll just wing it here. You got to do our special dance. We got to do this and that. We got to, have a meeting for this or whatever. I knew that this job, it's kind of like being the king or the queen or Santa Claus. Again, no one's perfect, but your job is to try to be part of the situation, but above it. So you watch the queen, you watch the king is new, but you watch them and they're involved. They help choose the prime minister, but they're not really part of the process. Santa Claus is Santa Claus. Who does Santa Claus vote for? Well, no one really talks about that because Santa Claus is for, everyone. So it is a job beyond just being one person. It's a trust. Public office is a public trust. And so I've always kind of known that. I mean, there are things that bring it back into focus, but I've always known that this job I'm the registrar wherever I go, and this job is something that people depend on, and it's an important job, and I don't have to cure cancer. I don't have to do anything else. I feel like I have accomplished something if this is all that I do for the rest of my life.